Hello everybody, this is WPGN, and today we're going to talk about how to farm primals. First I'm going to fill up my drink real quick here. Now, there's a lot of speculation as to, when, where, and how often these primals can drop. So let's start off with a few basic facts. Primals will not drop unless you have cleared Greater Rift 70 solo. And you will get one just for doing that. Now, once you have done that, once you've cleared Greater Rift 70 solo, so i.e. you'd go in here, go to 70, complete it, and then, you get your primal, your first primal. And after that, they have the ability to drop from anywhere in the game, whether it's a regular Nephalem rift, a greater rift, or bounties, literally anywhere. Now, the ratio is one primal within 400 to 500 legendaries. Now, let's classify what a legendary is. Legendaries are these orange items you see here. They also are counted as set items. So, say you go through a rift and you get, 3 legendaries and 3 set items. You've got a total of 6 legendaries. So that would count towards that that eventual 400 to 500. Now, what are the differences between a regular item, an ancient item, and a primal item? Well, let's look. We have 3 sets of bracers here. The first one's normal. It doesn't have a border around it. I mean, it's comparing to what I have equipped, yes. But it doesn't have a border around it. It has the worst possible stats out of the 3. Now let's look at an ancient item. Like, for instance, this regular one says 439 strength. It can roll between 416 and 500. So we look at an ancient one. It rolls higher strength. It can roll between 550 and 650. Now if we look at a primal, it always rolls the highest value. So if you get a primal, whatever character you want, whether it's a dex build, an intellect build, strength, so on, it will always roll the maximum amount on its stats, and it will be all of them. So see how it says holy skills deal 20% more damage, 20, 650 strength out of 650, 650 vitality out of 650, crit hit chance out of 606. And then 210 on the cold resist, and 30% on the knockback thing. It'll always roll the maximum for the stats that are on it. Now, that is not to say that it can't roll cruddy stats. Say like since I'm a barbarian on this character, see how it says enemies hit by knockback suffer 30% increased damage for 6 seconds. That would be more suited for a knockback build. I'm not running that, so that stat is completely useless to me. Even though it's a good item, it's a useless stat. I would rather have, maximum fury. I'd rather have movement impaired, takes damage, anything like that. So while it might roll the maximum of the stats that come on it, the stats that come on it may not be the best for your build. But it's not a total loss. Like the strong arm bracers, I can go throw them in my box and use them on a different character, and maybe the Crusader or something like that. Now, how do we get them? Well, that's the question that everybody wants an answer to. So there are things you can do, like going to the cube, and you can use this recipe here. that is Reforge Legendary. It can roll Primal or Primal Ancient. However, the difference here is the likelihood is very low, and the materials that it consumes are rather expensive, considering that you can only get those materials from bounties. And let's be honest, nobody really likes doing bounties. They're kind of a pain in the butt. And even when you're doing them on a higher tier, it always takes so long to do them, and you don't really get much out of it. So I don't necessarily suggest re-rolling a Lego unless you have to. Now, I will do it if I want to say, like this thing. I've been trying to re-roll this stupid thing forever. I finally got it to re-roll with a socket. But what I really wanted was for it to re-roll Ancient, and then I could have replaced something on it with a socket. I would have rather had the better stats than the socket, but it came with 646 strength, which is pretty close to its 650 mark. So I'm not terribly upset about that. So it's okay for now, but I would have rather it rolled Ancient, and I could have replaced the socket with, from something else. Now that I would use that recipe to do, because for whatever reason it seems like getting these stupid things is really a pain. There is another method that you can use, the cube as well, which is, where is it? Upgrade rare item. But again, as you can see, Death's Breath 25, Parts 50, Dust 50, Veiled Crystals 50. Again, it's another, it's another very expensive way to upgrade a rare item to a legendary, hoping that it rolls something other than normal. So I don't necessarily suggest going that route either, as you're going to burn up a lot of your mats, and the result you will probably find will be very, very unfavorable. So this is where we start doing the math, and we figure out how we can do this. So once you've completed your, your Greater Rift 70 at least once by yourself, you'll have the ability to obtain primals. Then we have to go in and figure out, okay, so I get about 8 to 9, somewhere between 9, I would say comfortably 9 and 11 legendaries per run at Greater Rift 80. So we'll say an average of 10. I get 10 Legos per Greater Rift 80. I can complete them in roughly 4 minutes. Sometimes faster, depending on the rift. Some are harder, some are a little easier, some have a lot of mobs, some don't have a lot of mobs, some have a lot of elite packs, some don't. There's a lot of variable things, so I'll just say between 3 and 5 minutes I can complete Greater Rift 80 and bank on getting at least 10 Legos in that run. Now remember, that also includes set items, so if I get 8 orange legendaries and 2 set items, I've got a total of still 10 Legos for that run. So now we take that number, we average of 10, and we say, okay, well, I need at least 400 to 500 legendaries dropped before it will roll, or before it will drop a primal. So you go, okay, well, you can only do Greater Rifts with keystones. So you say, okay, how many keystones do I need? Alright, I need a minimum of between 40 and 50 keystones, and I have to run them all in order to make sure that I meet that quota of 400 to 500 Legos. Because if you figure 10 Legos a run, 40 keystones, that's 400 Legos right there. And we say 400 to 500 because the ratio changes a little bit here and there, but it's usually somewhere between 400 and 500 unless you're incredibly unlucky and it might take you a little more. But that's usually the way that it goes. So we say, okay, you know, we'll say 50. So we need 50 keystones. We have to run 50 greater rifts at 70 or above to meet that, you know, to meet that quota of legendaries dropped to, you know, get a primal. Alright, so we start from our keystones. How do we do that? We go to do normal Nephalem rifts. Now, in this game, time is money. So it really depends on what, you know, what class and what build you want to play, and then what class and what build you're going to use and farm. Those are two separate things entirely. Most builds will have a quote-unquote speed farming variation. However, let's break that down a little bit and talk about what the realism is between the classes. Okay, well, this season, Barbarian is very, very strong. I think it's actually at the top. So we've got that. You know, Barbarian is very strong, it's very fast, especially if you're working with a Whirlwind build, with the Wastewalker set. Demon Hunters are very fast. They do a lot of damage. Monks are still very prominent. They can screen clear pretty well. Those are really the top three that I can think of, unless you're going to go with a meteor build for the Sorcerer, using Talrashes and Firebirds or whatever. But those three are the top three at the moment. So say you really enjoy playing a Crusader. My advice to you, and I say Crusader because I like the Crusader. The problem with the Crusader is no matter how you build it, it's slow. And it has a couple of hitches, and I'll explain in a moment what those are. People suggest using the Steed with Endurance, but the problem with the Steed is you activate it, and the second that you run into an enemy, regardless of whether you are using illusory boots or not, you stop. So it's really kind of hit or miss as to how well you can get around. When you're on foot and you're not on the Steed, you can run through as many enemies as you like. However, when you have mounted the Steed and the Steed runs into an enemy, regardless of whether you have illusory boots on or not, it stops. So your gap closing or your movement speed kind of ends right there. And that's a problem if you are in a rift with wide open spaces and a lot of enemies, because you can run for 2 feet and get stuck by a little Carver Demon. But the problem is that Crusaders, while they are fun to play, are slow. They have things that can make them faster, which we just talked about, but they're very slow. The Blessed Hammer build is nice, but it's not great. It's not my ideal style of play. I prefer more the Akon set with Condemn. It's got a lot of boom boom pow, and you can move around pretty easily as long as you replace Steed with Slash or something like that, so you can target off enemy and move through them. Either way, whatever build you decide to go with for that, I don't necessarily suggest it for trying to speed farm. For speed farming, I would suggest the Whirlwind Barb, Demon Hunter, or I suppose you could use Witch Doctor. You could do that. Yeah, Witch Doctor would work too. But there's a few that are really good at it. Barb is my farming of choice, and I actually like to main it quite a bit as well. So next thing you do is you need to find a level of farming that is quick for you. Now, we don't necessarily need to look for primals in Nephalem rifts, so what we're going to do is we're going to lower this to 14, because 14 is pretty easy. I'm going to go into my speed farming set, which is right here. Named it Whirl Farm. This allows me just to sprint and to charge. So that will help me. I'm going to start a rift here, and we're going to go through it and show you how quickly we can accumulate keystones, because I will be getting 3 for this as we go along. And for most of these, we just ignore them. So we just keep going. And yes, I am using Turbo HUD, so I'll obviously be blocking out my character name in my chat, because the last thing I need is for some twitball that watches my videos to report me to Blizzard going, "Oh, he's cheating," when I don't really view it as cheating, because I don't compete on the leaderboards. I have no desire to compete on the leaderboards. I just like to play my game and make videos to help you guys out. But I know there's always going to be some asshole, so I'll take care of all that, and you know, you guys will have the information, but you will not have my character name nor my battle tag or anything like that. Yeah. And there are reasons why. I personally like Turbo HUD. It displays a lot of useful information that they should just put in the game, because, yeah. So we go through. See, there's a magic pack up there, so we'll go get that. And usually what you're doing in rifts are hunting down those magic pack mobs. You really don't want to hang around too much and kill a lot of stuff that isn't going to give you a lot of experience. One of the benefits to having Turbo HUD is, if you can see my mini-map, it has a bunch of green dots on it. Those green dots are mobs, and the bigger the dot, the more experience that it gives you when you kill it. If the dot is blue, or if it is orange, then it is a unique monster or a magical pack of mobs, so you can kind of hunt those a little faster and get through your rift a little quicker. Not by much, maybe a couple of seconds, but it's really not that big of a deal. But I will talk about the wonders of Turbo HUD and the people who dislike it in another video. This is teaching you how to farm efficiently. Diablo is a very big game, despite how simple it seems. If you are wanting to make your character the best that you can, there's some things that you need to know, and that is one of the things that I am trying to help you with and explain now. And you can really get moving on this. You know, there are things that you can put in your cube that will help that. And this is one of the reasons why I like the barb for doing this, is it's so fast. I actually made Diablo 3 crash the other day because I was moving so quickly that it couldn't generate monster graphics properly. And it actually just shut down and crashed. So now we have the Guardian, so we'll go over here where he's at. Oh, there he is. And he's kind of a dick, but yeah, he goes down easy. We've got 3 keys right there. Okay, and we head back to town. We reset it, and we do it again. So in 10 runs at 3 keys, you know, we'll have 30 keys. Now, for those interested in my Barbarian build, I will go over that, and I'll link it when I get it done at the bottom of this video, so you can see how I'm doing this. There are a couple of key things that are important, but I won't have enough time in this video, so I'll just display how this works and tell you about how to farm primals, and then we'll go on to that in other videos. And I really wish we didn't have to wait 20 seconds for this to close, because I'd like to just be able to, you know, run, gun, and go on to the next one. So we start another one. You know, we've got our 3 keys from there. And immediately when we get in, we just zoom, zoom, zoom. You know, big packs of monsters, you definitely want to burn them all down, because it's a heap of experience all in one place. If they're kind of strewn out, then you don't really want to bother. You don't want to have to chase mobs down for experience, is what I'm saying. It's time consuming, and yeah. Okay. And if you get a speed shrine, oh man, that's just super. Alright, on the next level, refresh. Always refresh your shouts and stuff in the beginning of the level. It makes life so much easier. So the key to farming rifts is to find a level at 70 or higher that you are comfortable with, that you can do rather quickly, repetitively, without dying, and you can just burn through it and get on to the next one, because that's what's really going to be your time saver. The quicker you can get through it, the quicker you can be on to the next one, the quicker that you're on to the next one. The more keys you get, the more keys you get, the more greater risks you run, the more greater risks you run, the faster you will be getting your primals and your ancients. Their speed, let's zoom, zoom, zoom. And the reason that I want that flavor of time is because it doubles the amount of pylon usage that I get. So, you know, say if you have 30 seconds worth of shield pylon, having flavor of time will double that to make it 1 minute worth of pylon. And that's, if you're running rifts at 3 minutes per rift, then that's 1/3 of the rift that you have shield on and cannot be hurt at all, period. So, you know, that is important to note. You know, and you probably need less than 50 keys, because if you think about it, you're getting legendaries while you're doing your key farming as well. Not as many, but it does cut that eventual number down by a bit. So you just kind of bulldoze through everything here. You know, get to your next floor, kill all the elite packs for unique monsters, and be on your way. There we go. There's 3 more keys there. Bunch of materials. And we pour it out and do it again. So, once you do that, you find a greater rift. So, you know, say you're comfortable with doing 75. And you can do it relatively quickly and whatnot. That's fine. Do 75. Just spam 75 to your heart's content until you get your drops. There's no pressure and no need, unless you're going for leaderboard placement, which, again, I don't. But unless you're going for placement on a leaderboard, you know, there's absolutely no reason why you have to sit there and farm. Oh, I gotta farm Rift 90. I gotta farm greater Rift 90. I gotta do it. No, you don't. You know, just find one you're comfortable with. 75, 80. You know, depending on how well geared you are and how, you know, attentive to detail you are, and just farm that. And eventually, you'll get your drops like that. That is a sexy Bocathus' Solemn Vow. And you got your strong arm bracers here. And I've got another one, but I think I'm actually wearing it. Let me see if I can find it here. I don't think it's actually in here. I think I'm wearing the other one on a different character. Yeah, I am. Okay, because I've got these. I've got my blade here, and I've got a Pentos Pride that's Primal as well, but I think my monk is wearing them. Let's see. I believe. Zokrans. Yeah, monk's wearing them. So I've got 3, and I don't play a whole lot. I play enough. You know, but it's something that you can do, you know, to kind of, that information should help you if you're wondering, you know, how do I get primals, when do I get primals, that kind of thing. So on an average, it's between 1 to 400, you know, it's between 400 and 500 legendaries that you'll get a primal. So that is my way of farming them. I'm sure that everybody has their own, but that is the way that I found be the most efficient. Thank you for watching. I will see you in another video.